So it's nice to be here. I'm Ginny O'Keefe. I'm the CEO of Amethyst and have the pleasure of also being one of the founding mothers. And about 35 years ago, I found myself in the recovery rooms for my own addiction. Came from a family where addiction was rampant and was fortunate enough to be intervened on by my best friend who said, Ginny, it's not your problems that are causing you to drink, it's your drinking that's causing the problems. So I wound up in AA, and AA was male-dominated back then, so if you found another woman in the rooms, you kind of just grabbed each other and hung on. And that's where I met the other 8 women that became the founding mothers of Amethyst. And as we got well and learned about our own disease and worked through the issues that we needed to, we were seeing that women were really very stigmatized in their addiction. And even after 30-some years, I'm afraid that stigma is still alive and well. We were seeing that women needed a safe, sober environment where they could go and work on their recovery. So we had a dream, and that dream was to have a facility where we could house the women and help them to get well. And the same goals that United Way talks about are the very things we work on at Amethyst. The program is absolutely comprehensive. We do addiction treatment, trauma treatment, because the vast majority of women who come through our doors have significant sexual abuse issues that have to be worked on. We have a family treatment team because we are one of the few treatment centers in the country that allow the children to come with the mothers into the treatment program and work with the whole family. Of course, we have a trauma team that works on the sexual abuse issues. The program is divided into segments. It's more intense in the beginning, and then it gets less intense over time as the women either go to school or to work. Ultimately, we try, education being a huge goal, we try to get as many people into education as possible because that, in fact, is the bridge out of poverty. We have today, from a small house in Clintonville where we started with 3 recovering women, today we have 140 housing units. So we blend the treatment with permanent supportive housing. That gives them the stability that they need, gives them the time and resources to make progress, to get well, return to the community, and be contributing members. One thing I always like to say is that when we talk about some of the United Way goals, again for us, if for every woman that does not wind up in the criminal justice system as a result of her addiction, we save about $28,000 per woman per year. If we have a child that winds up in child welfare system, we save, if we get them out of there or don't get them in there, we save about $25,000 per child per year. If you keep them out of the emergency room for their health care, it's about $400 to $1,800 a visit. And a drug-free baby, which I'm proud to say in 30 years we've never had a baby born addicted to drugs. So a drug-free baby is a minimum $150,000 in the first year. So we're really helping to contribute to the community and its economy. I think probably we also have an outpatient for women who are not ready or don't think they need the long-term housing and treatment. I think for me, the United Way has been a godsend. Funding for human services, alcohol, drug, and mental health agencies has been in a terrific decline since about 2007. Just in one grant alone, I'm down $250,000, and that's pretty hard to make up. So United Way's help is extremely valuable. The things that they're helping us with right now are 2 very important pieces of the program. We have been seeing more health issues with the women coming in: diabetes, heart condition, HIV/AIDS, all kinds of things from being on the street or not having health care. So we have been able to put a nurse practitioner on for 32 hours a week. She gets the women as soon as they come in. She's able to do an assessment, get them linked to whatever kind of care they need, and stabilize them so that they can participate in the program. The other thing that they're helping us with is, because we have the children, our program runs all year. So when school is out, we have to find something to do with the children. At any point in time, we probably have 60, 70 kids in residence. So we started our own summer camp several years ago. And we rent space out at Buckeye Ranch, and they have recreation, but they also have therapeutic skills that they develop, knowing that they're at high risk themselves to follow the path of addiction. So United Way is paying for about 25% of the cost of that summer camp, and it's about invaluable. We want to break that cycle of addiction, poverty, and violence in our next generation. So it's been a wonderful journey for us. The program, I invite you anytime you want to drop over and visit. We'd be glad to give you a tour. We're very grateful for United Way for what they do for us. And I thank you for listening, and I will introduce Amanda.
Hi, my name is Amanda, and I just want to say I don't know how you guys get any work done with this TV. I would just be in here watching reruns of the Vampire Diaries. Like, that would be my day. But I came to tell you a little bit about my journey through Amethyst and through life and where I'm at today. And in order for me to explain where I'm at today, I have to give you a little bit of background of where I come from. And I've seen all the same TV shows you guys have seen, and I know the stigma that comes around addiction. I am a recovering drug addict and recovering alcoholic. And I was not born into a drug addict home where, you know, you see them on the streets or anything like that. I am an Army general's daughter. I was raised extremely well. I had a nanny. I was spoiled. I was a brat. All of those things. I was taught right from wrong, good from bad, and it didn't matter. This disease does not care who you are, where you came from, or what your background is. It affects everybody. So, my background started, I started using when I was about 14. I was drinking, smoking pot, doing whatever I wanted to do. I had a baby when I was 14. I gave him up for adoption. He's doing very well today. Probably the least selfish thing I've ever done in my entire life was to give him a good home. By the time I was 24, I also had 2 daughters. I got married really young, thinking that I was doing the right thing, and that didn't work out. So then I got married again, and that didn't work out. I think maybe it's me, but you know, whatever. So I tried all these different things to make my life work, and it just didn't happen. By the time I was 28, I had caught my first felony. I am a convicted felon. I have a prison number, and all of those things that come with it. I lost custody of both of my daughters, one to her father and one because I was in prison, so my parents took her. I was married again, trying to make my life work out and everything, and I got sober. And I was doing really, really well. I went to this treatment that was like 90 days, and I did really good, and I stayed sober, and I went back to my husband and was trying to make my life go back together. But I never learned how to live. See, I started using when I was a kid, so I never really learned how to live everyday life. So when something bad happened, I went back to the only thing I knew. I got pregnant, and I lost a baby, and I just wanted to make the pain go away. I was with my husband, who was also a drug dealer, and he knew how to make the pain go away, and so did I. So I went back to the only thing I knew. I don't know how long I was there, how long I spent with him. I don't remember. I do remember waking up for the first time in my entire life with a very, very real feeling of mortality. For the first time in my life, I knew I was going to die, and that there was nothing I could do about it, but this was how I was going to die. So I remember looking at him and telling him that I loved him and that I had to go. And he called me all kinds of names, and our relationship was somewhat abusive anyway, and told me the only time I ever came back to him was when I needed something. And I still say to this day the hardest thing I've ever faced in getting well is admitting that he was right. He fixed everything, and that's what I used him for. So I left, and I went to somebody who was with me when I was sober before, and she helped me just kind of make it through the night. And the next day, the cops were at my house. Like I said, I'm a convicted felon. That makes you a little nervous. So I opened the door, and there stood a cop who I'd known for several years, was friends with my first husband. And he was there to tell me that my husband was dead, and he'd killed himself that night. So now I'm a widow. I'm sleeping on a friend's couch. I have nothing left. My probation officer found me. He said, "Where have you been?" Because during all this time that I tried to get myself together, so that's my sobriety date, the day my husband died. I've been sober since that day. That is June 24th, 2010. By the grace of God, I have not put any chemical in my body since that day. But that didn't mean that I was done. It just meant that I wasn't using. I was falling apart, and my probation officer showed up. He was like, "What's going on?" And I was like, "I don't know." And I was working, and I was doing all these things, and I wasn't using, and I still wasn't reporting to probation. And he was like, "You have a job, and you're sober, and you still won't come in and report?" And I was like, "This is a problem, isn't it? You're not happy with me." So he said, you're going to have to go to jail for a little bit. And I came out 364 days later. Yeah, he lied to me. He said a little bit. But anyway, I was in there and I did 6 months in county jail. And I went to prison and I got a prison number. And then I went to a behavior modification in Southern Ohio called STAR. Now, at STAR, they taught me that everything I knew was a lie. But that I was able to get better if I just put forth the effort. And when they came to me 4 months into being at STAR, they said, it's time for you to go. And I was like, ooh. And they said, where do you want to go? And I said, anywhere but home. If you send me home, I'll die. Now, just so we're clear, I'm from a very small town in Southern Ohio called Portsmouth. Anybody heard of it? Everything you've heard is right. Okay? I knew if I went back there that I was going to die. So, they found Amethyst. They brought me here for my assessment. They brought me here for my orientation. I remember they told me, it's a long term. I was like, whoa, what do you mean long term? In prison for a year. They said, do you want to die? I said, no. So they told me it was going to be about 6 to 8 weeks before my bed was ready. So I had to go back to STAR and tell them that they couldn't release me. I had to sign a waiver knowing that technically I could leave, but that I still had time on the shelf, so also on their end, technically, they could keep me. And I signed myself into prison to stay until Amethyst was ready for me, because I knew if I spent even one day on the streets, I wasn't going to make it. So I stayed there until Amethyst was ready. They called, I came. I've been there since June 1st, 2011. I have gotten the pleasure of being one of the many women that they have saved. Now, today, I have custody of both of my daughters. They live with me. They eat a lot. I mean a lot. It's kind of weird. One's a teenager. I wasn't ready for that. One's 9. They're very different people, but they are both so much like me that it's bothersome on a daily basis. I get to be a mother today. I get to be the person that tells them to go to bed. No, you can't talk on the phone at 11:30. Who's that boy? He needs to leave. All of those things that I never did, I get to do today. I get to be that person. I am a daughter today. My parents cast me off a long time ago just thinking that there was no hope. Like I said, I'm not from a family of addiction. They really didn't understand it. They just thought there was something like chemically wrong with me and that I was no good. And now that they know different and they have participated in my treatment, that's different. So I'm a daughter. I'm a friend. I have 130-some sisters. It's so frustrating. But these are some of the most amazing women I have ever met in my entire life. And they are there for me when nobody else is. And they are unbelievable people that I get to know from all different walks of life that shows that this disease truly does not care where you come from, because they are such different people. I get to be all of these things today because of people like you. I have this keychain that I was given years ago, and it says on it, when you come to the end of all that you know, you must believe in one of two things. Either there will be earth on which to stand, or you will be given wings. Now, I never understood what that meant, but I kept it. And today I understand. Because I was at a point where I literally had nothing left and was ready to die. And today I have wings. Because of people like you. Because people like you that believe that people like me are worth saving when I never did. So I come to these things because they asked me to come and tell you my story, but the truth is, I come to just say thank you. Because you have no idea how hard it is when you don't believe you have anything left, to have people you don't even know say you are worth it, you can be saved, and we're going to help you. And it is an unbelievable gift. And I also found this, and it just felt really fitting today, because I've had a really rough week. This is this quote that I found. It's from Vince Lombardi. Fairly certain it's about football. But you know what? I changed it because I could do that. And it says, I firmly believe that any woman's finest hour, the greatest fulfillment of all that she holds dear, is that moment when she has worked her heart out for her cause and lies exhausted on a field of battle, victorious. Today, every day that I go to bed at night and I didn't pick up and I still go to work every day, and I still have my kids, I lay down on my field of battle victorious. So I came to tell you thank you for believing that my life was worth saving when I didn't. That's all I got.